Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest edition of Dalescenter NASCAR Betting. Preview for Watkins Glen, the Go Bowling at the Glen. And typically, this is a Friday. Every now and then it's a Saturday program. But I wanted to wait because I learned my lesson on tires. We went to Bristol earlier this year. We had a tire that fell off. The dynamic was completely different on how it affected our bets. Now, of course, Denny Hamlin won that race. He was a favorite, but there was a lot of other betting picks that were impacted by a very high wear tire. So we had two important practice sessions yesterday, technically four, but long extended practice sessions that told us a little bit about this high wear Goodyear tire that they brought to Watkins Glen as we get ready to roll into this entire betting preview that is going to be somewhat abbreviated. I'm going to go kind of quickly here on bets that I like after I go through a few explanations on why I am using a certain strategy, I guess is a good way to put it. Lines on the bottom of your screen, courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook. We need a big weekend. I shit the bed in qualifying. Qualifying was a big surprise. Ross Chastain, 35-1, 40-1 range to win the pole. Now he's a co-favorite. He was like 40-1 to win the race. Now he is like 6-1. I don't know if I'm going to touch that, but what's interesting about this race on Sunday afternoon is if the tire wear is similar to what it was in practice, this has got to be the first time in the Gen 7 era, and maybe even further back than that, into the Gen 6 era, at least 3 to 4 years, where we have a road course race with ridiculous tire wear. The lap times reflect it. We're dropping 2.5 to 3.5 seconds over a 15 lap run. That's ridiculous. I don't know when the last time I saw that on a road course was. No clue. Now, with Watkins Glen, typically it's predictable with, especially over the past 4-6 years with Hendrick Motorsports, right? Elliott won 2 in a row. Larson won 2 in a row. Byron won last year. I mean, Hendrick has gobbled up all the wins here. Now, they typically start up front. That is not the case this time around. You got Alex Bowman starting up in the top 5, which I do like Alex Bowman today. All the other Hendrick guys, all the names I just mentioned, outside the top 10. Crazy. So, track position is important. Absolutely, because when these guys, history just shows you start up front at a road course, especially at the Glen, typically you finish up front. Now, to play devil's advocate, I guess, this might be the one road course race where track position at the beginning matters less because of the tire wear. Who can manage their tires better in a long run? Who can utilize strategy? I love Kyle Larson in this spot. Sticking with the Hendrick camp. He's 8-1. You can get that over on FanDuel, I believe. Waiting for FanDuel to drop some more lines. I want to see their top 5s and their top 10s, but love Kyle Larson in this spot. He's starting 20th. He's been amazing at the Glen. He won Sonoma earlier this year. At classic traditional road courses, Kyle Larson is amazing when we talk about the Glen and Sonoma. He's just been exceptional at these two particular road courses, and when you lump everything up together, he's got like a top 5 average finish amongst all active drivers when you consider every road course we've run at since 2021. So love Larson in the spot, not just because I expect the car to be good or because of Hendrick's resume here and just recency bias, but because Cliff Daniels has been awesome with strategy, especially on these road courses. He's always thinking outside the box, going to do something different. I don't think they're going to be chasing stage points. I think they know they're going to have a car that is capable of winning, and they're going to set themselves up for the end. Now, you got to consider the playoff bubble in this spot too. Larson is kind of on that bubble after crashing out at Atlanta so early, but guys like Denny Hamlin, I feel like are going to chase points. Chase Brisco, an Austin Cindric, guys closer to that cut line are going to accumulate as many points as they can heading into a cutoff race at Bristol. So consider the playoff standings in your betting strategy as well. I think it will matter, and maybe consider that with stage bets. When we get some stage odds, typically you'll see that on Caesar Sportsbook, maybe ESPN Bet, Canby. Like if I usually I haven't bet stages in a while, but if I typically bet stages, I've got a Bally kiosk right next to me that I go bet stages on. That's Canby. Maybe you can check Bet Rivers, some other Canby books to see if you can get some stage bets. Now, I don't think I'm going to touch that today because I'm really, really confident in a couple picks that I'm laying the fucking house on today. And considering everything we just talked about, kind of building up, previewing what just the dynamic of this race with tires, strategy, playoffs, all these elements that are going to impact the actual race and impact your bets, I lean towards two guys, Christopher Bell and Christopher Buescher. I'm going with both Christophers today. First of all, C. Bell, at the time of me recording this, 34-1 outright on FanDuel. Have we lost our fucking mind? Have we forgotten how good Christopher Bell has been on road courses? Consistent improvement at Watkins Glen. Top 3 in this race last year. Top 10 the year before. Two-time road course winner. Probably shoulda, coulda, woulda won one of the 2 street course races at Chicago in 2023 or 2024. I mean, what are we talking about with Christopher Bell here? This is scary. 34-1, and if you have DraftKings, he's 30-1 on DraftKings. I like that too. But we're sleeping big on Christopher Bell, and we're sleeping big on Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher, 50-1 on BetMGM. Last 12 road course starts. We're not going to include the street here, but last 12 road course starts, 11 top 10s, and the one that wasn't a top 10, he finished 11th. BetMGM, fuck the outright for a second. They're giving plus 150 for a top 10 on Chris Buescher, and they're giving plus 110 for Christopher Bell for a top 10. Both of these guys are in the top 6 in the entire NASCAR Cup Series on driver average, on average finish in all road course races since 2021. They're hammer bets for me. Hammer time bets. BetMGM also giving us 4-1 on a Christopher Bell top 5 and 6.5-1 on a Chris Buescher top 5. And to back all this up, not just with the data or with the lines that I feel like are just really, really just flawed. Both cars were good in practice. And you look at the long run speed, I got to give a shout out to iFantasy Race. I was kind of looking for somebody on Twitter that kind of gave a detailed breakdown between the two practice groups. Christopher Bell, 4th in his group, 15 lap average. His car exhibits less fall off as the run goes on, and you don't even need that data. Go to the NASCAR app. Tyler Reddick, between lap 5 and lap 15 of his run, he falls off just over a second. Christopher Bell, from lap 5 to lap 15 in his run, falls off about 7.5 tenths of a second. That adds up in a longer run. His fall off is less. Same thing with Chris Buescher. Now, Chris Buescher did not run a 15 lap average, but he did run a 10 lap average. Pull up the NASCAR app, look at the averages, compare. His 5 to 10 lap fall off was about 3 tenths of a second on the dot. Tyler Reddick, his fall off between lap 5 and lap 10 was about half a second, a little over half a second. So I like the speed of, at least from the data, these two guys both, I think, have really good race cars. Now, it is a wild card to know what's going to happen with the tire wear. Are we going to have blowouts? Michael McDowell mentioned that he thinks the tire wear we're exhibiting here is more heat related than it is wear related. Typically, that's not a good thing. And temperature for Sunday going to be a little bit hotter than Saturday when they were practicing. So that's worth considering in the spot as well if you want to kind of go light on a lot of different bets or just a few bets. With all that being considered, I got to go with the data and stick with those two guys. They're rock solid on road courses. So, best outright for Christopher Bell on FanDuel, top 5, top 10 on BetMGM. And for Chris Buescher, everything, best bets are on BetMGM. I mean, 6.5-1 top 5 isn't going to make it. It is not going to make it to the green flag. No shot. and it probably won't because I'm going to go hammer it. But you got to get on. You got to get in on this. I mean, I'd bet Chris Buescher 5-1 top 5. You know, if you do see some line movement, you've got some flexibility to still get some good value in my mind on Chris Buescher for a top 5. If you can still get even money top 10, like if you're not on BetMGM, I'm looking at DraftKings. DraftKings for Chris Buescher top 10 plus 105. Christopher Bell plus 110. Love those bets. If you're getting even money plus money for top 10, it's worth it on those two drivers. That's exactly how I feel today. As bets are still populating as we're progressing in this program here, BetMGM is uploading more. I just uploaded finishing order. I'm not interested in that. But I love those two guys today. Keep an eye out. I'm putting a lot on Christopher Bell. I think Christopher Bell, I think C. Bell is a huge threat to win this race. And everybody's going to sleep on him. And as I said earlier, because of the tire wear situation, this could be the least important qualifying session we've had on a road course in years. Straight up. Just because a single lap in qualifying is not going to dictate how your car is going to handle, how the driver is going to exude racecraft on a difficult tire longer in the run. So, Chastain's on the pole. That's great. Car's good. He's got good lap averages. When we're in the race, how well can he save? How well can he not burn up his tires? That is to be determined. So I lean towards some veteran guys, and I lean towards guys that have gotten it done on a road course. So Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, emphasis plays, especially with the top 10. I'm going to play both their top 5s, and I'm playing their outright. Talked about Kyle Larson. I am going to bet on Larson outright 8-1 for sure. I just feel like in this spot, I don't care where he qualified. He won at Sonoma earlier this year. On the classic road courses, he's a threat. The car's always good. And you go back, look, you're like, oh shit, he's starting 20th. He's screwed. Well, if you go back and look at qualifying, I mean, he was on a heater and he just missed the corner in the carousel you see right behind me. He did exactly what Daniel Suarez is doing behind me. He just missed the bottom, and it completely ruined his lap when he was tracking in the green to make the top 5. So Kyle Larson, I think, is worth a bet at 8-1. I love betting Larson in the spot because if you bet on NASCAR, every time Larson is a favorite, he never wins, ever. Which is why I like betting him when he's, get a little more value on him. So I think 8-1 is worth it for Larson in the Hendrick camp. I'm declaring that Christopher Bell top 10 is a mortal fucking lock. It is a Dale Earnhardt approved lock of the universe. Christopher Bell top 10 plus 110 on BetMGM. Hammer it. It's going to hit easily. It's going to hit. Not even worried about it. Another guy I want to look at is Chase Brisco. Talk about practice times. Stewart-Haas Racing kind of had, they're kind of in the ballpark of less fall off according to the practice data. Brisco and Gregson qualified decently. We can't consider Josh Berry because he's just, not good on the road courses. But Ryan Preece had some decent, long run speed, I guess, or just less fall off. Car might be slow, but I'm not going to consider Preece in this spot as much as I'm talking about Chase Brisco. Noah Gragson shows speed a lot of times, but on road courses, since he's been in the Cup Series, has really struggled to get the car home in one piece. So Chase Brisco sticks out to me. The one thing I'm concerned about is stage points, but on the contrary, maybe someone like Chase Brisco could be worth betting to win stage 1. Pass a few guys, everybody up front pits, trying to go for the win. Maybe he steals a stage. I think we saw that a couple years ago. I think I bet on it actually at Watkins Glen. So Briscoe's a guy that has had glimpses of success on road courses. I wanted to say glory because he was so good at the road courses in the Xfinity Series, but has not gotten the finishes in Cup. Like Chicago is a great example if we're talking about just pure lefts and rights. Was running top 5 all day and then just fucking blew the corner and destroyed SVG and himself. So he's fast, and I think his car is good. So Chase Brisco, You can get him outright at 100 to 1. I'm going to put a sprinkle on that. I'm going to bet top 5 on BetMGM at 14 to 1. Top 10, what do we got on top 10? I do want to look at that real quick. I saw 2.5 to 1, I think, on DraftKings. BetMGM, Chase Brisco for top 10, 3.5 to 1. I kind of like that. So, depends on what you want to do. I think you should consider a bet on Chase Brisco. However you want to do it, that's fine. I'm going to go with the outright. I'm going to go with the top 5. See if we can get an inspired run out of Chase Brisco. Last race with High Point as a sponsor, who has been ride or die with Chase Brisco for like 5 years now. So maybe you get some juju there with High Point, who he won with at Darlington. I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of a narrative there. If High Point is gone after 2024 is over, SHR is over, Brisco goes to Joe Gibbs Racing. I think he's a good bet today. We'll just leave it at that. And then we talked about Busher. Scrolling through with everything that I'm going to bet. Michael McDowell, talking about just the practice data. I think Michael McDowell has a really, really good race car. Really good race car. He's been pretty snake bitten at the Glen last year, prime example. And snake bitten a lot this year in general. Didn't make the playoffs after making it last year when he won at the Indy road course. But the road course talent is not, it's indisputable. You cannot debate it. Michael McDowell is a road course ace. Can he get through a full race without having some kind of freak mechanical failure like he did last year? Can he get through without being too aggressive, which is something we've seen in 2024 that's costed him a lot? Point is, car's good. 16 to 1 on BetMGM is worth it. I'd bet it down to 14 to 1 if you get some movement. That's where DraftKings is right now. Michael McDowell, I think, you got to put something on him. He could go out here and dominate. He's got track position. And according to the practice data, I think his car is really fucking fast. So we'll just leave it at that for Michael McDowell. Talked about Larson. Alex Bowman. I kind of briefly mentioned him earlier. Sticking with the Hendrick camp. Shit. Dropped my phone on pit road. No big deal. We got it. I think Alex Bowman, 16 to 1 or 18 to 1 on BetMGM is something I'm gonna play with. You got to think about Hendrick and what they've done here over the years. When they get track position at this racetrack, historically they don't fucking give it up. And Alex Bowman's the only Hendrick guy with track position this weekend. So Alex Bowman's car looked pretty good in practice. Based upon the data, I don't see in his car what I see in Michael McDowell or Tyler Reddick or Chris Buescher. But if he keeps track position, his pit crew's good. He's very, very underrated, flying under the radar when it comes to his road course skill. Obviously, he won the Chicago Street Course earlier this year. He's kind of knocked on the door at tracks like COTA. I think Alex Bowman could be worth a bet today. Not just 18 to 1 outright, but over on DraftKings, 7.5 to 1 top Chevy could be a good bet. A lot of people are going to be hammering SVG and Chastain, considering the road course skill and the track position. I'm kind of looking at Alex Bowman in the Chevy camp if you want, I guess, kind of a spicy, more of an underdog play in the manufacturer department for top Chevy. So Alex Bowman, 18 to 1 outright, plus 750, 7.5 to 1 top Chevy, I think could be a good bet. Sticking with the manufacturers here for a minute. Christopher Bell. Maybe I'm fucking high, but I don't get the fade that the books are throwing on him right now. It's actually insane. Christopher Bell, top Toyota, 10 to 1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I really want to see if BetMGM will upload some manufacturer odds before I can get to the casino. Still don't have them up yet. They have this exacta shit. It's crazy. But when you look at, we're just going to pull DraftKings up right now. Top Toyota, Christopher Bell's 10 to 1. Martin Truex Jr. Okay, I think you know how I feel about him, but he could go out here and win this race. It seems like it's in his ballpark because of, when we get races like what we had at Bristol, or just races where you get considerable tire wear like we're expecting, it fits in the veteran hands, right? And everybody was leaning, and still probably is leaning, betting on Truex because of that, and he qualified second. Long run speed, I don't see it according to the raw data. But he's plus 115 top Toyota, guys. That is absurd. That is not bettable. It's not bettable because the amount of mistakes we've seen. It's one thing if you want to take Truex 5-1 or 6-1 outright. Like, I can live with that. I looked at it for a second. But taking him basically even money, top Toyota, might be the dumbest bet of all time. So because of that, it's opened up a door where there's more value for some of these Toyota guys. Like, if you want to, like, hey, maybe you're not super high on Christopher Bell, but you acknowledge, okay, he's good on road courses. He's probably got a good car. He's been good at the Glen. But in the Toyota camp, there's 8 guys. You got Juan Pablo Montoya Racing. There's 8 guys. I'm not comfortable just betting one outright. Like, let me get another one. Then take Tyler Reddick or take Ty Gibbs. Take 2 of them. Because with Truex at plus 115, that's not bettable. I will happily bet that another Toyota in the field can beat him outright. Tyler Reddick's plus 220 top Toyota. Maybe you put a unit and a half on that, and then a half unit on Christopher Bell 10-1. Or you can do Ty Gibbs for a unit, Christopher Bell for a half unit. And if one of the 2 guys gets it, you profit. So that's where I would lean. There could even be a world where you could take Reddick, Gibbs, and Bell top Toyota, and that could be your entire betting card. I don't see Denny Hamlin winning it. Mentioned Montoya. I think he's too rusty. Bubba Wallace, John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones really struggle on road courses for the most part. I'm not going to consider them. In my mind, you've got 4 guys that are legitimate candidates to be top Toyota. Truex, Reddick, Gibbs, Bell. Fade Truex, take the other 3. Do it how you want to. I'm heavier on Christopher Bell, thinking about betting top Toyota on either Reddick or Gibbs. But there's a world where you can do all 3, and I think you have a great shot to win. That could be your entire betting card, just playing with a top Toyota manufacturer. I might be... Look, I just mentioned that I might be fucking high, but I've got another idea here. And bear with me. I think RFK brought some really good race cars this weekend. Obviously, we're high on Chris Buescher. I think we got to talk about Brad Keselowski. I think we got to talk about Brad K. Like I said, I might be fucking high. But when you look at Brad Keselowski, crazy. 10 years ago, he was battling for a win 2 years. He finished second at Watkins Glen 2 years in a row in 2012 and 2013. Crazy when you consider... when you consider what he is now on road courses. But at Watkins Glen, Keselowski's got 2 consecutive top 20s, 1 top 15. When you look at a lot of his road courses over the past couple years, there has been some improvement. And if my page would refresh, I could tell you about it. Hold on. It's all right. I got it right here. Brad Keselowski. BetMGM is going to give you the best price for this as well. Top 5, 25-1. If you're feeling real frisky, if you really feel frisky for a Brad Keselowski good day, check out BetMGM. 25-1 top 5. Let's look at his last few road course races. Okay, he's been terrible at COTA ever since we started going there. Terrible. He finished 33rd, but the 3 around that, Watkins Glen last year, Roval last year, and Sonoma this year, finishes of 15th, 18th, and 13th. Then you go to Sonoma last year, 16th. COTA, 35th. Fucking sucks at COTA. Roval, Glen in 2022, 14th and 19th. Let's go to Sonoma 2022. He finished 10th. Look, I'm not saying to hammer this, but... we have this, we definitely have this notion in our mind that Brad Keselowski is a joke on road courses when he's actually put together some quality top 15s, top 20 runs, like hanging around that spot. So with the quality of the race car that I think RFK brought to the racetrack, at Watkins Glen. Look at the practice data. He's got some good lap times. He really does. I mean, it could mean nothing. He could go out and get junked in the first on lap 1. He qualified poorly. He's starting 28th. He's a guy that needs points too. Guy that needs points. Let's consider that as well. We talk about the playoffs. I don't think with how deep he's starting in the field, he's going to be a candidate to get stage points. At least not in stage 1, maybe stage 2. I think we're looking at a potential top 10 to 15 run for Brad K on Sunday afternoon. I really think so. So I'm not promising I'm going to bet this, but I'm thinking about it. Plus 650 top 10 for Brad Keselowski on BetMGM. Man, have I lost my mind? Have I lost my mind for suggesting that? Maybe. What else do I like? At the time of recording, as I've kind of said, everything's kind of repopulating. I really want FanDuel to pop up here on top 5s and top 10s. I only have outrights at the moment. But that's the bulk of what I like. I think even talking about top 10s, Kaz Grala qualified. I think he's starting dead last. Kaz Grala, good road course racer, a little bit of RFK affiliation with that race car. 25-1 top 10, get some chaos, get some calamity, like we saw in the Xfinity race. Hey, who knows? Kaz Grala has scored some top 10s and some top 15s on road courses in the past. Justin Haley, 14-1 top 10. Todd Gilliland, teammate of Mike Mack. Now, practice data concerning. It looks like Todd Gilliland does not have a good car. But, I mean, I got to think they're going to figure something out in the race. He's starting 37th. Actually, the 3 guys I'm talking about for top 10 bets are starting 36th, 37th, and 38th. They are shotgun on the field. 14-1 top 10 for Justin Haley. 14-1 top 10 for Todd Gilliland, who's had prior success at Watkins Glen. And then 25-1 top 10 for Kaz Grala. Could be worth it. Could be worth it, just some sprinkles. With the uncertainties around the tire, you could get some chaos. We could see a shit show take place today, not just at the end with 84 overtimes like we saw on Saturday, but throughout the race. Cars getting knocked out, guys pushing too hard, burning their stuff up, unscheduled pit stops. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the new tire we have. So I think maybe some underdog top 10s are in consideration here. And typically at the Glen, that wouldn't be something I would suggest because of its predictability. I think the predictability we have seen and expected over the years could be somewhat out the window for this race on Sunday afternoon. So that's kind of what I'm leaning. But after everything I've told you, most importantly, bet on Christopher Bell today and bet on Chris Buescher. Whether it's top 10, top 5, head-to-head matchup, top Toyota. Let's see what Chris Buescher is top for, by the way. Hold on. Plus 550. See, I would pair that. McDowell plus 250. I hate that. I'd bet Chris Buescher top Ford with Chase Brisco top Ford. And maybe, I don't know. When in doubt, don't. Chris Buescher plus 550 top Ford is not bad, though. I want to see if BetMGM gives us something better, which they typically do on manufacturer bets when they drop. They're still not out yet, at least on my end. So that's still the emphasis play. Buescher and Bell, bet them both for top 10. I think they both cash that bet for top 10. They both might cash top 5s. And I really think they both could be avid threats to win this race. The Go Bowling at the Glen. Watkins Glen, always a fun race. Always a fun race. And after last year was kind of a stinker with no passing, long green flag runs. I didn't hate it, but a lot of other people did. Looks like it's going to be a completely different race than it was in 2023. And I can appreciate that. It might be scary for our bets. But I mean, at this point, I don't even know how I'm still positive. I've had such a bad summer leading into the playoffs. But we're floating. We're barely floating. And if Christopher Bell wins this race, or Chris Buescher wins this race, We're turning our year around just like that. I'll be a millionaire. Yeah. So hopefully you will too after betting on Christopher Bell with me today and Chris Buescher as well. Be sure to follow me on the Action Network app to see all of my NASCAR Cup Series bets with specific unit allocations. That link is in the YouTube description below, along with all of my other useless, degenerate, piece of shit social media profiles on Dale Bird, Dale Graham, Dale Talk, and join the Dalescenter NASCAR Discord. We're just south of 1,300 members of complete degenerates, or as I refer to them as the only Dales. Building a community where we're just dicking around and it's a lot of fun. So join the Discord, check out the bets, enjoy the race, enjoy football too. I've got a lot of bets on NFL Sunday, like I always do. I just don't post them on Action Network because it's going to make my record a bajillion times worse. So let's stick with NASCAR. Hopefully we get some profit, but enjoy the race, enjoy your Sunday, and please come back and thank me. Like, share, subscribe here on YouTube if you win some money. Let's have a day, boys. Appreciate you. Christopher Bell, Hell's Bells, gonna win.